Let us pray. Almighty God, the creator and ruler of heaven and earth, we beseech thee to inspire and guide all our actions so that we may always walk in path of justice, love, and charity to one another. Help us with thy grace to do only those things that promote the unity, peace, happiness, and prosperity of Nigeria in general and Lagos State in particular. Amen. Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues. You are all welcome to today's sitting. Let us go through the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 11th August 2020. Page 198. Yeah, Honorable Temitope.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My name appeared absent and I was on official assignment to the Commissioning of Oshodi Interchange on Tuesday.
Mr. Clark, please kindly correct that. 199, 200. I have examined the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 11 August 2020, and approval is here granted. Any message from the governor?
The Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, Lagos State House of Assembly, there is no message from the governor.
Any other announcements?
There is none, sir.
Petitions?
None, sir.
Matter of other public importance, Honorable Gundimu.
Good afternoon, Right Honorable Speaker and my colleagues. Well, I have a very important issue that we, from the Committee on Education, we are bringing to the front burner this afternoon, concerning the resumption of the students in all our secondary schools in Lagos State. We are all aware about the going front and back concerning the resumption of the final year students in the public secondary school in Lagos State. After said and done, the Lagos State government has to go in line with the directive of the federal government and allow the students to resume for their final examinations in the secondary schools. And there are a lot of guidelines that we all agree that must be in place that the schools must follow. The Ministry of Education came back and they agree with the committee. They informed the committee that all has been done. And the report is not as if we did not trust them. There is always reason for us to visit these schools to see the level of facilities on ground, because there are a lot of schools involved. In the junior secondary schools alone, we have 553 secondary schools. In the senior secondary school, we have 323 secondary schools, and that's a total of 676 schools in Lagos State that were involved in all these examinations at various levels or the other. And when you now look at the number of the students involved, you know, including the teachers, is staggering number. And we cannot allow this to be going on without actually looking into it to see the facilities on ground. Look at the number of the students alone. It's about 143,661 that just resumed. And that also added to the number of teachers involved, about 18,000 statewide. We agree with them that those facilities should be in place, and there is need for us to visit. Not only that, we need to also monitor the examination that just commenced in all our schools as well, to see the level of compliance with social distancing and other related issues. And that is why we are bringing this to the House with the lead of the Speaker, that we should get the approval of the House to be able to visit these schools, to see what is happening there, to see what should be done. If we have anything that we need to add to them, we need to inform them. And our prayer is so simple and direct. We need to visit the schools, see the level of compliance, see the facilities on ground, see how the examination is going on in all the schools. And that is why we are here this morning. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman of Education. You can put off your lights. You have always Honorable Fatai Majid.
Good afternoon, Right Honorable Speaker, sir. I align myself with submissions of the Chairman's Committee on Education, but I want them to extend the oversight to the private school that we have in Lagos State, since what we are discussing is about the health. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Tobo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My own submission is not different from the chairman of the committee, but I really appreciate the submission of Honorable Fatai on the private ventures, that is the private schools in Lagos State. Mr. Speaker, I'm not going to preempt the finding of the committee, but I've been able to visit some of the private schools. I think their interest, Mr. Speaker, is monetary aspect. The safety of these kids are very, very important to us. That's why I just support the submission of Mr. Fatai, that it should be extended to the private school. And this one will be in line with what happened in Ogun State, Mr. Speaker, when they alleged that the government of Ogun State said that the students on private school should pay a certain amount of money. They came out in mass to protest that the students in Ogun State, both in the private and the public, are citizens of Ogun State. So they should not differentiate. So on this assignment, I think it should be included. The private schools should be included. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Akola.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm in total agreement with the proponent of this issue on ground, Honorable Gudimu. The question is, are we really, really ready for resumption? There are schools that I have, very recently, went to see whether, they have facilities on ground. And lo and behold, I must tell you that there are some of the schools that don't even have running water as we talk. We're talking about this COVID-19 pandemic, where we need running water and soap to wash our hands and sanitization facilities. So we must not treat this issue with kid glove. I want to also seek the approval of Mr. Speaker and the House to allow the committee, embark on this oversight function. So I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Council.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. As much as I would have preferred if this wasn't happening, but due to the federal government directive, we just have to carry on with this. Without saying so much, I want to lay more emphasis on what Honorable Majid actually mentioned earlier, but also with the submission that some sort of, I don't know how that's going to work, but some sort of advisory comments or role should be put into place when they're doing the oversight functions over the Ministry of Education, that the Ministry of Education should look into ways to also advise the parents of these children that are involved in this, that are going to be involved in these ongoing examinations, to also adhere to some of the strict regulations, because there's no point when you have access to all these regulations and you adhere strictly to them in the school, and you go back home and it's another story. So one way or the other, they have to be advised to properly engage in the necessary guidelines needed to secure these kids, as they will be interrelating with so many groups of people from different families and different backgrounds. So that sensitization for the parents is absolutely necessary in this regard. Furthermore, I would also encourage that the schools should take into cognizance that the food pavilions and what have you shouldn't be encouraged within the school premises and even close to the school premises, because you don't know where anyone has gone to or has been coming from. So on this note, the parents too should actually go in strict compliance with all of this and provide the necessary food benefits for their children or the wards to take them through the period of the examination period. So I so submit. Thank you very much.
Honorable Nuredu.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm in total support of this motion of grant, the idea of Honorable Mudimu. Reason being this, sir, not because of the student alone, sir, because of us. Because if the students go to school, at least with this virus and something funny happen, they are coming back home. So in view of this, I'm in support of it. But, sir, I should now, I
Do
would
you
like,
have a child going to?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ah,
Yes, sir.
go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. But when Honorable Gundimu's submission, please, the committee should start immediately because over 3,000 schools is not an easy thing with this little time that we have ahead. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like you to please give them the go-ahead. So I'm in total support of it. So they can try, if not all, so at least 50%. So they will determine what on the ground. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Temitawa.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the last 6 months, we have seen the effect of COVID-19, not only on the health, but as well on the economy of Nigeria and Lagos State. Mr. Speaker, if we look at the status of our schools at the moment, we will realize we have infrastructural decay with our schools, which the government, we must commend, are doing everything possible to revamp the schools and put them back in shape. Mr. Speaker, in some schools, they don't have chairs. And we want these students to go back to these same schools to sit and write exams. How will they perfect or practice the COVID regulations of social distancing? Mr. Speaker, beyond the submission of the chairman on education, Mr. Speaker, I also would like to add, if possible, they say prevention is better than cure. If possible, these students can actually go for the test before resumption. When you know your status, you stay back at home. Without knowing your status is like walking blindly into an ambush. When a student knows the status, they are negative, they can resume school. If you're positive, stay at home. For if you allow them come into classrooms, they will transmit, and when they transmit, it goes back to the parents that have children in school, as rightly said by Honorable Akisoya. Mr. Speaker, I would also like to add to that that they should look for possible means of testing these children before they go back to school. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Well, now that we have the Chairman House Committee on Earth with us, he should be able to tell us what steps have been taken on carrying out tests on the students.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want Mr. Speaker's attention.
I'm listening.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So far, so good. Before the announcement of having students to resume back to school, necessary preparation have been made, and I think most schools, as we speak now, they've been all equipped with necessary hand sanitizing machines and wash hand section in the schools. But the only thing I would need to add,
No, take that again, please.
I said, as we speak now, most of the schools, they've been equipped with necessary sanitizers and hand washing section in each of the schools. But
So how do we identify a child who has been infected already?
the only thing we need to do is that social distance is what they are going to apply.
Among the children?
Among the children, because the sitting arrangement is well defined now. Not that not regular sitting like before. Each student will be on a seat with a gap in between each of the students. But the oversight function we are talking about, I think it will be more effective if Committee on Education and that of the health will move together for us to ascertain that proper thing is being done. Though what they told us is what we are saying now. But for us to see what they've really put in place, I think Committee on Education and Health should do the job. Thank you, sir.
I think the Committee on Health should tell us what is on ground already now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just said it now.
You say,
Sir?
take that again.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Maybe I should repeat everything all over again.
As you what?
I said, presently, before the announcement of that resumption, the government, they put in place necessary measures to take care of the students as regard sanitization. That is, installing necessary hand sanitizers machine and washing of hand section in each of the schools. But the issue of testing is what I'm talking about. That could be taken care of by the use of social distancing, kind of. So if the only way you can contract the disease is by this through sneezing or coughing or getting in contact, direct contact with person that has coronavirus. But if you can maintain that social distance, kind of, I think you are safe to a certain extent. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Setonji.
Thank you very much, sir, the Right Honorable Speaker. I am amused by the submission of my colleague, Honorable Shokule, just now, with respect to social distancing. I know of schools that have about 150 students in a class. They are cramped together. So how do we maintain social distance in that kind of scenario? That is why I think this issue is a very, very important thing, so that the issue of pandemic will not escalate. So the school, just like, that's why I support this motion wholeheartedly. Something must be done to ensure that either we stop the students from going back to school at this time until those things are solved, instead of paying lip service to this matter. It's a very serious matter. Thank you, sir.
Honorable SOB.
Mr. Speaker, the proposal by the Committee on Education is very good. We recognize the fact that schools cannot be closed indefinitely. Students will have to go back to school, but at what cost? Mr. Speaker, I'm just trying to think aloud. With the statistic given by the chairman, about 600 plus schools in the state. That's if we are talking about the public schools. With the private school, is more than that. For how long will the committee go on this visitation? At best, what we can achieve with the committee is a kind of random investigation of schools. I'm just trying to think that as representative of the people, can we suggest an enlargement of the committee to include all members? My proposal is this, Mr. Speaker. While the committee is taking random sampling, to be assisted by the honorable member in their respective constituencies to see the school. I'm sure that no honorable member can even go through all the schools in his constituency, in our constituency, in a day. With this, we'll be able to capture more. Human beings are funny. On the day of resumption, Mr. Speaker, there could be compliance with this procedure set by the ministry. Second day, third day after, they may have to relapse to that negligence. And what we are trying to protect here is not just doing the oversight, but to be sure that our children are safe in their schools. And safety is very important. So I'm thinking, Mr. Speaker, while the committee is going about on random sampling, maybe individual member is charged with responsibilities of making visits to school with the constituency and submitting report or finding to the committee, so that the committee can collate this with what the committee is also able to achieve within a short time to be able to do this visitation. That's my thinking, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Yusuf.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Once more, I just want to respond to the chairman head committee. Mr. Speaker, the chairman just dodged your question and deliberately ventures to say that the committee on health should be included. But he failed to answer your question. The question is, how do we detect those who have been affected? And he said, Now, we should include the committee. It's amount to saying that I will take your number after you might have killed me. That is to the driver. Mr. Chairman, I mean, this one is on. You cannot give what you don't have. The committee has never, and I'm saying it authoritatively, we have never prepared for the resumption of these students. We have not, at the committee level, unless they inform me now. Nothing has been done, Mr. Speaker. That is why it's very important for us to go and obtain social distancing. Even among the elders ones, do we maintain it? Not to talk about these young girls and boys. They cannot. And when you say they should maintain their social distancing, what of the instruments in their own area? Those who are affected, they have to hold something. And other people who are innocent also will be victims of what we have not prepared for. Mr. Speaker, I think what the chairman Health Committee is saying is not tenable, and I can say that one, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Jude.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, my colleagues. I want to add my voice on what the chairman on Health Committee has said. I think there's no way, it's not a magician to know those that are affected or those that are not affected. But he is trying to also let us know, which for me is important. If the ministry or the executive are claiming that the necessary things have been put in place to guide children or children that are going to resume school, even those that are about to write WAEC now, he needs to go, or his committee needs to go together with those of education so that he can see, like a common saying we say, seeing is believing, so that if there are lapses, they can report to us. I also want to join my voice to what the majority leader also said. I think it's important if the committees can be enlarged so that everybody will also have an idea. Like my own constituency now, I think I also have an interest to know exactly what is happening there. Because if I'm not involved, probably I can be indicted by my constituents that, Jude, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. I think I support that motion. Thank you.
Honorable Tebitawa.
Thank you once again, Right Honorable Speaker. To further lend my voice to this proposal, Mr. Speaker, we understand that the secondary schools or the public schools are resuming, and it is not the entire school that is resuming. Therefore, they have more classrooms that can accommodate social distancing for these students. However, it is pertinent that we know the status of each student. Just like Honorable SOB has said, he said all members should go back to their constituencies and check the procedures that the schools have put together. Yes, it works, but at the same time, we must know status. If some of them, the examination is that important and they want to resume, once you test positive, they can put you in a classroom with the others that test positive, and then you can have your exams. But it is very important that we must know the status of each student that comes into school for resumption to write the exams, sir. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Moshood Osho.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon. Well, Mr. Speaker, I think the most important thing for us at this period is to look at the preparation in place. Mr. Speaker, we are talking about a virus here, and the fact that someone tests negative today, someone tests negative today does not mean it can be positive tomorrow, especially considering the fact that most of the students will go in groups to school, will go in public transportation every day. So the issue of who is positive or who is negative, yes, it's important, and we can ask every school or this government to test them. But one thing we must understand is this is a virus. The fact that we've done the test today does not mean for the rest of the week. You're talking of the test we've done now. You don't know what's going to happen the next hour, the next 2 hours. And it's a virus that we don't, everybody keeps talking about, it stays on the table for 12 hours, it stays on your clock for 24 hours. So it simply means that I can do a test this morning, test negative, and on my way home, be positive. But I think what is important at this time is for us to check the preparation of our governments. What are we doing in these schools? What are the facilities in place? And like Honorable Temitope said, we are only resuming the final year students. So it means that there will be more classes for them to spread them out, just for the exams. So I think we should just go ahead with the election committee to go and check the preparation of the schools.
So are you saying it is not important to carry out tests?
No, I didn't say that, sir.
But
That's not my submission.
Okay.
My submission is that, yes, the test is important, but the fact that you are negative today, what is important at this minute is that are we ready? Are these schools ready? And let's talk to the students, to the school, to make sure that social distancing is observed. If that is done, then we keep praying and making sure that we do the right thing. Wash our hands, all the things we're asked to do. Thank you, sir.
Honorable Ogundimu.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I just want to give some information. The Chairman Committee on Health might not be out of place totally because the pandemic period as it was seriously, the Ministry of Health was seriously overwhelmed. And a lot of things were being done. And even the tests that are supposed to be carried out for the adults, they could not even exhaust their list. And as such, the resumption of the final year students to secondary school was something that they couldn't determine on time. And already as we are speaking, the students have started their exams. So there might not be enough time to be carrying out the test, but they are doing some simple check every morning. Number one, they check your temperature before you come into school. Number two, it's compulsory you have to be with your nose mask. And at the same time, they observe social distance, as rightly said by the chairman. And I think this one in place, and since the examination period is very limited, and if the guideline is well followed, I think they can still come out with this, and the test can be arranged later, because that will disrupt the exam as it is now. Thank you.
The person, who is that? Is your line on?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I am in total support of all the submission said by honorable members of this House. But I just want to add a little advice to what they have said. Parents too, they also have a lot of contribution to contribute to this issue on ground. Now that early in the morning you must give your children a sanitizers. Two, whenever your children come back from the school, you must off their clothes and allow them to bath before they enter in your rooms or to the respective places, so that they can avoid or safeguard all this virus. That's my submission.
Yeah, I want to thank you all for all you have said, and I quite agree with the prior mover of the motion, the need to visit, our public and private schools to monitor the extent of the preparation being put in place for those who will be coming to write the WAEC examination. We can't really determine the number of students, but we know that since other students are not going in now, we have enough space to accommodate and also to observe the social distancing exercise for the prevention of COVID-19. However, it is important to carry out the test. It doesn't matter if immediately you are testing positive, negative, sorry, you become positive in the next minute. But the advantage of it is to identify, those who have become victim already, and to start to give attention to such people, so we can control the spread of the virus. So it is important. And it is also acceptable that we urge each one of us to visit our constituency, where the examination will be holding, at least to see in support of what the committee will be doing. So we can now give whatever we observe to the committee to make as part of the reports of the House, and also to call on the governor to direct the commissioner for health to ensure that this screening test is being extended to the students also before resumption. And after, and it's only student that has gone for test and also that has the clearance that should be allowed to resume with their peers. Because fine, you can't manage young ones. It's very difficult to manage young. Even the adults that are aware and have enough knowledge about this, then we still find it so difficult to, practice the social distancing we are talking about. Talk less of the young ones. Well, fine, they have immunity against this because of probably their age, but taking it back home. And as rightly observed by Honorable Oshun, that those who are using public transportation, so there's need for us to do all these things. So I want the Prime Mover to accommodate all this in his prayer, so we can move ahead.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Needs to monitor the facilities in all our public and private secondary schools, and also to call on the governor to direct his commissioner for health to carry out tests on these students in all the secondary schools in Lagos State. I so move.
And also members to also participate by visiting, where.
In addition.
Then I omitted the chairman's committee on it also, it should be an ad hoc one. So to come back and tell us, it's not going to take anything away from the assignment of education, at least with his position and working with the commissioner, will give us enough information. Sorry about that.
It's all right, sir. I'll take it again. Needs for the Committee on Education of the House to monitor the facilities on ground in all the public and private secondary schools in Lagos State. Also to call on the governor to direct the commissioner for health to carry out the test for all the students in the state and also the teachers, with involvement of the Chairman Committee on Health. And also the members, honorable members, should also visit the schools within their constituents to see the level of things and turn in their report to the committee. I so move.
Thank you. Who is that honorable? Huh?
Honorable Joseph.
Okay.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those against, no. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk, kindly direct the resolve to Mr. Governor for implementation. Personal explanation, Honorable Tobo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the indulgence. Distinguished colleagues, I rise this afternoon to announce the demise of Chief Kamaluddin Lanre Razak, a.k.a.
If I announce it, your announcement is belated.
Yes, to the Parliament, sir.
To
the Parliament, sir, officially. Chief Lanre Razak, KLA, who died on Saturday, August 15, 2020, after a brief illness. As we all know, Honorable Chief Lanre Razak, a APC stalwart, a national figure of our party, and a member of GAC Lagos State. Before his demise, he has served the local government, he has served the state, and he has served at the national level. He was one time a supervisor for works in Ekpe local government, and he served as the chairman of the local government. During his tenure, he brought a lot of development to that community. And I'm proud to say he was the first chairman to have an housing scheme put in place by the local government during his tenure. He was equally commissioner for transportation after that chairmanship level. He was at a time deputy national chairman of All Progressive AMPP and a leader in the PDP before joining APC. Honorable Shivlan Razak, popularly known, a.k.a. Bulldozer. Sometimes we call him Iron Bender because of his political maneuvering. We all know him as the Balogun General of Ekwe local government and his environ. He was Otumba Jagugoye of Odo Ragunshin, Bobagun of Ilara Remo, and Majobaje of Olofin Ajayi. Chief Lani Razak was the chairman, Righteous Construction Limited, a construction that is known for a quality service delivery. We all know he has a lot of good roads constructed to his credit in this state. He has constructed so many roads across the country. He's a committed Democrat. We all know him a pillar of sports. We know him as a socialite par excellence. He belongs to so many clubs, both national, at state, and at the local government. And I want to use this period to commiserate with our party, the APC family, the leader of our party, national leader, Ashwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for one of his loyal allies, through him to all the GAC, the governor through the governor to the executive council, through the speaker, to all members. I use this opportunity on behalf of the Obas, the chiefs, the chief imams, the Bales, the Babaoja, the Yoja, everybody around the Pay divisions to wish Chief Lani Razak a farewell. Adieu, Chief Lani Razak. I want to request, sir, with your permission, that if you can, give him a minute silence, then a letter of condolence and a powerful delegation from this Alo chamber to visit the family. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Honorable Jimmy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to announce the demise or further inform the House.
I can't hear you.
I said I also want to further inform the House about the demise of the chairman of Onigbongbo LCDA, Mr. Babatunde Oke. He was an astute politician. He was a very kind-hearted person who worked at a very good grass level. He endeavored that the whole constituency was kept together amidst all forms of issues that might have concerned. He was admitted about 2 weeks ago in the hospital, and we lost him sometime last week, Thursday. I would also be kindly asking that the House give him a moment.
It's difficult to hear you.
I would also like to ask.
You heard Honorable Tobun very well.
I said I would also like to ask that the House gives him a 1 minute of silence as well, too. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Yeah. May the souls of the departed rest in peace. May we all rise to observe 1 minute silence in honor of the deceased. Mr. Clark, kindly observe that. May their souls rest in perfect peace. In addition, the clerk should do a letter of condolence to the family of Chief Lani Razak to be delivered by our Honorable Majid, Honorable Tobun, Honorable Rahim, to be led by Honorable Nohim. Yeah, before we move to the business of the day, let me use this moment to recognize in our midst, the delegates from Joseph Afe Babalola University. I'm sure most of us will recall that university, a great institution where the speaker was being honored with an honorary doctorate degree. They are here this afternoon to visits to the speaker and also watch the plenary section. We have Professor Kola Shonaiki, the Vice Chancellor, Joseph Babalola University. You are welcome, sir. Thank you for coming. We also have the Ron Alaye Ajayi, the Bossa Jabo, Joseph Babalola. You are welcome, sir. We thank you. We have Pastor C.S. Fasui, Vice Chairman, Governing Council of Jabo. You are welcome, sir. We thank you for coming. We appreciate your presence. We have Pastor A. Oluwatosun Jabo. You are welcome, sir. And Dr. Bolu Folayon Jabo. You are all welcome. We thank you for coming. We appreciate your presence. Yeah, majority business reports? None. Business of the day, majority leader.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, business of today. We have first listed House of Assembly Bill number 12. Mr. Speaker, with your kind permission, may I move that Lagos State Administration of Criminal Justice Amendment Bill 2020 be read for the first time. I so move.
Honorable Nureni.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
All in favor say aye. Those against, no. The ayes have it. Mr. Cloud.
The Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, Lagos State House of Assembly. It's my pleasure to read for the first time Lagos State Administration of Criminal Justice Amendment Bill 2020. Thank you, sir.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, next on the other paper is House of Assembly Bill number 13. With the permission of the Right Honorable Speaker, I move that Lagos State Transport Sector Reform Amendment Bill 2020 be read for the first time. I so move.
Honorable Council.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
All in favor say aye. Those against, no. The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
Once again, it's my pleasure to read for the first time Lagos State Transport Sector Reform Amendment Bill 2020. Thank you, sir.
Majority Leader.
Distinguished colleagues, we have exhausted items listed on the other paper. Hence, I have the approval of the Right Honorable Speaker to move that this House adjourns till Monday, the 24th day of August at 12 noon. I so move.
Honorable Okola.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion as moved.
All in favor say aye. Those against, no. The ayes have it. This House stands adjourned to Monday, 24th August 2020 at 12 noon prompt. I rise.